Hello everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome back to the TraderMerlin show. Hope you all have your faculties and your fingers after what was a ruckus 4th of July out here in Southern California. Hopefully you fared much better than that poor hockey player who got hit by a mortar and didn't make it. Crazy how these fireworks are. Anyway, hello Jerry. We got Katut with us today, Tom Pepper, and loving the heat in Mississippi today, huh? Well, it's better than the freezing Pacific Northwest that was a couple weeks ago. We got Thomasina, Terry, and Les from Cape Canaveral who started us off with the chat today, so good to have you with us. Hope you all are ready for a fun show. Now, let's see. I wanted to start off by going up to our update here because I don't have a lot of people who want to participate in anything, which is fine. I get it. I'm just going to put this here so that Thomasina, Rob, and I can continue to do our July challenge here. The 30 minutes of German is really easy. The sit-ups are easy too. So this was an easy month for me, but hopefully you guys are doing what you want to do. And if you'd like to participate in our July challenge, just email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com what you would like to add to this list. I'll put you on and then keep putting your feet to the fire and hopefully pressuring you to keep going. All right, today's show is... it's called SPAC Update. I was just trying to figure out what a topic should be for this one because it was directly from a viewer question pertaining to an IPO that was announced actually today. So it was a very timely topic. And I noticed it's been about 3 months since I've talked about SPACs. We did it back in January when we talked about the SPAC mania and did kind of a rundown on what they are, how they function. And then in April, we did another one, which is like the SPAC apocalypse, right? Like, why is this thing falling apart? And it's getting a ton of bad press, the whole industry with regards to SPACs are. And I think that we brought up a lot of valid points in the January show. But why not revisit it and do a SPAC update? So again, a shout out to our viewers here that send in questions. Florence says, saw a headline on Nextdoor doing an IPO via SPAC. I use the app a lot and would like to buy in. What are your thoughts? Before I dive into that, yes, Lisa, the challenge is something you're going to do every day for 30 days. And I try to do something every month. So last 2 months have been 100 push-ups a day plus doing some German or playing the bass. Pick something that you want to do or that you've been putting off because we slack and don't follow things sometimes. Pick something, so you know what, I'm going to do it every day. And then when we do the show, I bring up the list there and hopefully it reminds you to keep on going and do it, whatever it might be. Something could be very simple. I'm going to work in the garden for 30 minutes or walk my dog for 30 minutes or, I don't know, it doesn't have to be 30 minutes. I don't know why I came up with 30 minutes. Anyway, that's it. So, Florence, your comment about the Nextdoor SPAC. I actually like Nextdoor as well. I don't use it a lot, but I've used it a few times, and it's actually a pretty cool app. I have no problem with it. What I have a problem with is the SPAC process. Now, for those that might be new to the topic, it stands for Specialty Purpose Acquisition Companies. They're also called blank check companies because what happens is a security is started, right? Basically, this company comes to market, and all they are is a holding company of cash. And they're specifically tasked to go and find a company to acquire and to bring to market in an IPO. My problem with it was, what valuations are we basing it off of? And I'll give you an example. Let's say that I'm the company that's tasked with bringing Nextdoor public, or not tasked with bringing Nextdoor public, but I start a company. You and I are all investors. You give money into this fund, and now you trust the management to go out there and buy or bring to market a company that's going to boost the value of these shares that you've bought into. Now, you have to trust that the people making those decisions are buying the right companies, that they're paying the right amount, and not just doing it just to get out of their obligations. And this is where I think the problem rises. If you look at a lot of the price charts of these, what you get is very predictable. It seems to be over and over and over again with regards to SPACs, and that is, it starts off very slow, it goes parabolic, has a huge run up, and then once the news is out and it's filtered in the marketplace, then it comes cratering back down. I haven't found really any, I can't say any, but I'll say 99% of the SPACs that I'll look at are all grossly under their all-time high and basically just falling ever since. So, Florence, let me show you a few here. I want to run through a list. So we'll look at some of the popular SPACs, and then I'll go and show you some charts and ultimately work our way down to Nextdoor. So I'm going to start with two separate things here. I'm going to start off with companies that, remember, you have a SPAC, and a SPAC is going out and trying to find a company to bring public, right? And then at a certain point, the SPAC's ticker symbol will change to the new company, and then it's officially a traded security. So there's this transition period where the SPAC is still filing and doing some paperwork to ultimately convert over to the new symbol, but that takes some time. The one I'm going to show you, or the few I'm going to show you here right now, are ones that are in that process right now. It's a SPAC who has displayed their intent, legal intent, to acquire another company and bring it to an IPO. So let's look at a few of these, and I'll bring up some charts too. Popular one right now. This is probably the most popular out there in the marketplace right now is CCIV. This is Lucid Motors. Of course, that's electric vehicles. A lot of people calling them the Tesla killer. Is it really? Well, let's take a peek at CCIV, and I got to take it off of a monthly chart, so bear with me 2 seconds. Still having platform issues, which I have not resolved. All right, here is our CCIV, Lucid Motors. And you can see the typical pattern I talked about. Way back here on the left-hand side of this screen, back in 2021, it was flatline, and then all of a sudden it ripped up, right? It ripped up, went over 60, and then came cratering back down. And now, yeah, you could say that its downtrend might be over. It's slowly traversing up. I actually love Lucid's cars. I think they look fantastic. I hope they're a Tesla killer because the more competition in this space, the lower price those vehicles are going to get. So I'm excited. I hope it survives. But right now we're just looking at buying CCIV, right? Doesn't make sense. It's not even Lucid Motors yet. They still haven't done that transition process. Now, at a certain point in time, this will convert over into CCIV, or into Lucid Motors, and the ticker symbol will change and everything. But look at the shape. This is going to be commonplace for all of these. Next on my list, after CCIV, Ajax. They're buying a company called Cazoo out of the UK. It's an online car retailer. So let's go look at Ajax. Not your average cleaning products. Here's your Ajax chart. And notice it looks exactly the same, right? You've got this big spike up, got a lot of fanfare, great PR, and most likely they spend a lot of money to do PR and get this thing all hyped up. But volume, you can see the bottom is just tapering off. It's not really doing much, and price is pretty much sideways, stuck at $10. That's Ajax. No big deal there. Next one, RTP. This is Joby Aviation is the company they're trying to buy. This is actually a really cool electric aircraft, has vertical takeoffs. Very cool, but will it amount to anything, or will the company do well? Who knows? Here's the price chart of that one. So again, flounders sideways, rips up to a crescendo spike, and then has just done nothing but come back down and been stuck around $10 as well. This is the challenge here is, let's say you love Joby Aviation. You're like, man, I want to own Joby Aviation. It's one thing if Joby Aviation were to come to market on their own and do all the proper paperwork, dot all the I's and cross the T's according to the SEC and the regulators, and do an IPO. Instead, what you get is a SPAC with a ton of money going out and making the acquisition. Because it's already publicly traded as a SPAC, in this case RTP, which is, Retech Investors? Renevent Tech Investors, Renevent Tech Partners. They already have the money. And my concern if you're buying SPAC, and everybody knows, or most of you that watch the show know, I am stuck in a SPAC right now. I will never buy another one because I feel like I've been slighted on that whole deal. I don't really trust them. Because at this point, the RTP management of that money is looking out there and they're saying, we have to buy something. We have 2 years to buy something. If we don't buy anything, we don't really make any money on this deal. So they're going to go out and they may overpay for Joby Aviation. Most likely they are, to make it appealing for Joby Aviation or other companies like that to come to market. So I'm concerned that when you look at these price charts, that they may have overpaid, and once the market figures out they've overpaid, it just drifts down and price goes sideways and flatlines. Not to say that down the road, 2, 3, 4 years, once they've been public and once the company starts to do well, or may do well, that it doesn't have a chance to get up to $17, $18, $19 for Joby. Who knows? It's just, I feel like these SPAC managers are going to spend way too much just because they want to make the deal and make themselves a bunch of money. All right, what else do I have on here? I'll go a couple more. And if you have questions on SPACs, just go ahead and type them in the chat. DGNR, CCC information. This is IT technology for cars. I thought this one was interesting. DGNR. I'll bring that one up for you guys. And lo and behold, our price chart looks identical to the other ones and conveniently right around 10. I think $10 is kind of like the magic number for their share price IPO pieces. CMLF. This is Mount Sinai Genomics. CMLF. Another one. big boom up, and now just kind of traversing sideways. So these are the popular ones that are in the process right now of making that transition and moving into acquiring a company and then making them public. So these could still fail and may not make it to final market if they don't get approval or if something goes wrong in that process. Now, there are a couple other ones that I think you might want to look at before we get to, there's one more, BowX. BOWX they're making an acquisition of WeWork. Of course, WeWork, everybody knows WeWork. They're a pretty damn large firm. They're just not public. Here is WeWork acquire, hopefully, BowX Acquisitions. This one's still holding okay, but you can see the big spikes. When they made that initial announcement, it was at the end of March. Huge run up, and now it just feels like it's drifting down. Again, I would probably stay away. All right, so now I want to go to me, the most important ones, which are SPAC IPOs. These are companies which have already done it. You've got Payo. Yep. I'll look at VIH. Same thing. VIH, because Aiden's in this one, so am I, and I'm still livid about it, but here's VIH, right? When I bought into it, it actually was, it felt like it was kind of stabilized a little bit around 15, and that's where I'm in at, and then all of a sudden in this 4-day window, I think this is when they released their app, and everyone's like, wait a minute, this is not what you guys told us it was going to be. It's now just some cheesy app I can go buy Starbucks with, like a gift card app on a phone. Not great. Is there potential down the road? Possibly, but it just feels like it's dead in the water for now. But again, this was a SPAC, VIH, and it still may not go through, Aiden, right? This VIH could potentially fall apart. They're still in the process of getting all the regulatory approval to actually do the IPO of Bakkt, BAKKT is the company that they acquired, or are trying to acquire. So Payo, there's one we're going to look at. We'll look at which is Iron Source, and we'll look at Me, which is 23andMe. Now, these are ones that have already done it, meaning they've gone through the process. The SPAC has come in, made the intent, filed all the paperwork with the SEC and official regulators, and finally done it, got to a deadline. They switched the symbol over to the new symbol, and now this company is there. It's on the exchange. It's a done deal. So does it really pan out for these companies after the fact? Well, let's take a peek at that, because if you're like Nextdoor, you're probably thinking, hey, this could be a good thing. Well, let's see. Here's Payo, P-A-Y-O. So Payo has already done the transition. It is a publicly traded stock. You can see it actually has the ticker symbol, P-A-Y-O. And now it's, I don't know. It just doesn't. Does this look good to anybody here? It really doesn't. It doesn't matter to me what the company is. It's the price chart that I'm looking at. It looked like it tried to rally and then just came crashing back down to that $10 mark. What about which is Iron Source, IS? Similar picture, right? Did its initial piece and just went sideways and again stuck around that $10. Not good. And last one, 23andMe. 23andMe. They're officially publicly traded companies. You can tell by the ticker symbol, which is ME. Doesn't look great. It's right back down to that $10.21 mark. So again, I've got to be very skeptical on anything to do SPAC related. While I love the process, while I like what they do, for example, to me, a SPAC can bring a company that's deserving maybe of being in the public eye and allowing me to invest in it. I think SPACs are great because they can bring these companies public much faster than a traditional IPO. However, there's a reason there's this process for IPOs in place. Basically, what you're getting with the SPAC is a middleman who's trying to hype up the company they're acquiring, make it seem like it's the greatest thing in the world, and drive up that price. Because remember, these SPAC guys, they have the shares of the SPAC. So they're basically going, hey, if we jump this thing up to $15, $18, $20, $30, that's profit for us, right? There's a certain acquisition price that they have for their shares. So anything above that is just gravy. So they'll jack it up as much as possible. So basically what you have is an overpriced middleman with a SPAC. Are there some good SPAC companies out there? Sure, there probably are. Oh, God. I would never, oh, gosh. Ask Dr. Bonnie. First off, I love it, Bonnie, and I'm sorry you got a ton of VIH. Yes, A-Rod SPAC, Slam You. I'm pretty sure that if I was going to start a SPAC, Slam You wouldn't be the name. I mean, that just sounds really, really bad. It's kind of like going into a doctor's office and is Dr. Hurt or Dr. Pain, or or your broker's name is going to take your cash. You know, what? No, this is change your name, buddy. Slam you, coming from a cheater in baseball who, for all intents and purposes, in my mind, should not be allowed to have any medals, trophies, or go to the Hall of Fame because he cheated. You know, who knows if we're going to trust him with a SPAC. So bottom line is, Lisa says, SPAC sounds like a meme stock for Wall Street bets. You're kind of onto something there, Lisa. I wouldn't call it a meme stock, but it's a way for people to pump and dump and hype something up. The only reason I was so excited about, again, with VIH was I like backed. Their concept, what they were talking about to me resonated, and they completely deviated from that. So I was a little bit frustrated with that. There you go, Tom. Yeah, if you're going to do, instead of slam you, come on, that just sounds like you're going to lose everything. To Grand Slam, if you called it Grand Slam, hey, maybe a little bit better, right? Yes, I like that one better. Let's do it. So, going back to the initial question, which was from, let me get that. Florence says, what's your thoughts on Nextdoor? So, let's take a peek at Nextdoor and see what they look like. So, the Nextdoor ticker symbol is KVSB. And here you can see the news from today, like a huge spike up, looking great. All right, a lot of love it. You know, certainly I would not be buying this now. And I think for Florence or anybody who's thinking about that Nextdoor app or Nextdoor IPO, I would wait, because what I'm assuming is going to happen, and this is a bold assumption, I know, is you're going to get a chart that looks like this. Right now you just have the big spike up in the Nextdoor. My guess is it's going to come down significantly, just like Ajax and all these other ones have had that giant spike and then plateaued and just sold off. So to me, this is going to be the pattern for KVSB until they come to market, and then maybe you wait for that. So this Kolsha, KHOLSA Ventures, they're the SPAC that's doing it. They're going to make a ton of money on this. I don't know if they overpaid for it or not. Right? I'm not sure. Who knows? But I'm skeptical on it. I am not comfortable buying SPACs. What was the old phrase? Fool me once, shame on me. You fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah, I'm at the fool me once side with these SPACs, so I don't want to touch it. And I guess for anybody who's looking at these SPACs thinking, hey, there might be some opportunity in there. Yes, there might be opportunity, but I think that there's elevated risk because all that SPAC is an intermediary pumping it up and trying to make money in the process. So to me, it's a dangerous thing. I would just recommend staying away from Nextdoor until it falls significantly from this price chart and maybe gets back down to that magic $10 number, which seems to be the floor for most of these SPACs out there. All right. Cool. Well, that's my SPAC update. We ran through a few of the different SPAC companies out there. Unfortunately, I know some of you are in VIH, as am I. I'm holding it at this point to see what happens. You know, there's a lot of them that are coming out that have tremendous potential. Most of the SPACs I've seen have been in kind of the technology space. There's some dealing with some crypto pieces. There's some dealing with EV, a lot with electric vehicles and charging stations and things like that. So at this point, I'll just hold on to it and see how it pans out going forward. Maybe they do actually switch over and start to push more for the institutional side like they did early on with VIH. Mike Ruth says, if they don't pan out, why not short them or sell out of the money options? Definitely could do that. Generally, with these SPACs, liquidity for the options is going to be very slow or very low. You're not going to get much if there even are options on these things. So most likely you don't have options. If you do, they're going to be very thinly traded. Because look at this Kolsha Ventures. Today, it had 21 million shares traded, but it averages 523,000. Let's go to VIH. All right, VIH is only 300,000 shares on average per day. CCIV, which is a really popular one, that one has some volume, right? That's one of the more popular ones out there, simply because the electric vehicle space, they're averaging about 10 million shares a day. So this one most likely has options. I haven't looked because my freaking option chain is so broken on TradeStation. It's my task for the rest of the day. But for the most part, Mike, you won't be able to get options on. So could you short them? That's another great question. Remember, shorting isn't available for every security. And generally, with ones that have limited history, like you saw with KVSB. Let me bring that up. Here's KVSB. You don't have a lot of history with this bad boy. It's only back a few months. There may not even be shares available for you to short. So there's two considerations here for shorting. Number one is, How old is the company? Because generally there's a period where you can't short for a certain window of time. I think it's passed on KVSB. The other side of it is when you have a brokerage account, let's say you've got an Ameritrade brokerage account and you want to sell short, you have to borrow from somebody that Ameritrade has their shares. So one of the clients of Ameritrade needs to have those shares, and there has to be enough of them for the Ameritrade to feel comfortable lending it to you. For example, let's say you want to short 1,000 shares of KVSB, and all that Ameritrade has is 1,000 shares. They're not going to lend it to you. But if they've got, a few 100,000 shares of KVSB, they'll lend it out, right? It's like think of it like a margin maintenance for them. They don't want to lend out all the shares their clients have. It just puts too much risk on the company. So they'll lend you some of them. But generally, in thinly traded stocks, under 1 million shares, really hard to get short. Sometimes you can call them and contact them and say, hey, I'd like to short this. And if you have good standing account, you have money in your account, you have a good track record, maybe they'll lend it out to you. But generally with thinly traded ones, you're not going to get them. All right. What else did I have? Let's get Barry Bonds. Oh, yeah, well, he shouldn't be allowed in the Hall of Fame either. Basically, if you cheat, you shouldn't be allowed in there. By the way, did you guys, there was a headline. Remember I was as I like to do sometimes, go on my soapbox, there was a New Zealand weightlifter who is a man. He is a man, but he apparently got his testosterone account so low that now he was going to be competing in the Olympics in the women's division. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. There's no way that should be allowed. I'm sorry. It should be just a quick check, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to need you to drop shop. Yep, you're a guy. Okay, you got to compete in the men's. But no, I want to compete in the women's. And of course, he was, destroying everybody in the competition. I guess he had some a medical emergency that required him to back out of the Olympics. So good it happened. Anyway, I don't know why I went on that topic. I'm excited for the Olympics. That's really what it's all about. All right, let's go take a peek at some stuff that happened today. I will be here to answer any listener questions. If you got them, send them on in. Happy to do as many as I can. Otherwise, I want to run through these top 7 markets and wrap things up for the day. Jose Altuve, the Astros, is coming out with a new SPAC. God, what's it called? I rob you? Oh, it's CHEATR, cheater. Oh, sorry. Alex, who's used to be a regular with us, he is actually on the Houston Astros team, so I guess I can't be too cruel on him. Sure, Lisa, I'll talk about Amazon. Why the big drop, big rally right away today on the indexes? Well, 2 things. Number 1 is you have lower volume, right? So on the day after 4th of July, generally it's going to be a much lower volume. And you have a lot of people just coming back from vacation, having absorbed all that weekend news. Of course, one of the major pieces was OPEC. We talked about the Monday morning must-knows. They didn't come to an agreement. It seems like there's some contention there, and that created a lot of uncertainty with oil, which was your worst performer there. So let me start off at the bottom and work my way up. Here is crude oil for today. Basically, hit our overhead supply zone again, came right back down, and sitting back in the yellow box. I don't know why the box should be there, but we'll just keep stretching that one out because it seems to be relevant at this point. Now, 1.8% was your downside for crude oil today. I don't think it's anything to worry about. To me, it's if you get below 72 on crude oil, then we'll probably be challenging 70 and potentially some of these lower demand zones as they come up. But right now, still looking good on crude oil. And remember, if OPEC doesn't agree on anything, the talk was about them potentially increasing supply. If they increase supply, that helps, obviously, oil prices drop a little bit. But if there's uncertainty and those talks seem to not be moving forward with regard to increasing production, then production is going to stay right where it's at, and summer demand is spiking, which means prices of oil are going to go even higher. I mean, it's a pretty simple math equation, if you ask me. But nobody asked me. I'm just ranting. Let's see. Number 2 on the list is, actually call number 6 on the list, is the Russell 2000. Pretty sharp decline today. This was odd because you had such a disparity between the two. Russell was down 1.61%, yet the NASDAQ was up 0.34%. So kind of a weird switch. I have not moved this box, but I'll start the week off by moving it again because we have just been going sideways and really nothing to see here. We've talked about it. Short the tops, buy the bottoms of this yellow box. Do some spread trades on it. Russell probably a pretty good moneymaker for you right now if you're a spread trader. 1.61 to the south side, making it your worst performing index. S&P 500, finally a down day. I think it's been over 7 days without a down day. Love it, I guess. Got to love a little bit of retracement here, especially when you have such a strong move up. If you look at the price percentage move from the low to the peak here, you're looking at a 5.35% gain in 11 days. Pretty impressive. Again, I always benchmark things against the annual numbers. So if it's 8 to 10% per year and we did 5% in 11 days, man, you analyze that and you got one hell of a market. So that was your, I call it 5th place finisher out there. NASDAQ, positive on the day. And a lot of this has to do with Amazon. Amazon was soaring today. Not soaring, I might have exaggerated a little bit, but I'll bring up AMZN here. Amazon having a pretty good day, up 4.6%. This is because Bezos stepped down. Kind of interesting. You would think that when Steve Jobs stepped down, it would have been it was ugly for Apple. Maybe they're just like, hey, you know what? This guy's got too many problems. Or the risk is now off. Who knows why? But we had a big breakout to the upside today. I'm going to render my my options worthless on this one. I'm holding only two, because they're really expensive options on Amazon, waiting for the Bezos flight into space. But boy, what a hell of a day for Amazon today. 6.7 million shares traded. That's almost double normal volume, and a pretty big breakout to the upside on this cup and handle pattern that you have forming on this one. So that goes back to the NQ, which this obviously was a big factor in the upside move for the NASDAQ, which puts it at all-time highs yet again, up 0.34% to 14,763. Let's see, what else do I got? The 10-year, nothing huge. I mean, we did break above a supply zone here, at least not a supply zone really, just the most recent turn. I wouldn't call that a supply zone, but it's basically continuing this uptrend in the 10-year, which means that yields are dropping. So for those of you looking for homes, great. I actually received some marketing from my lender, and he's like, I can get you under 2% right now. I'm like, what, under 2%? Oh, do I want to refi? Yeah, it's crazy how it's been dropping so much. And continuing up. Gold, nice to see gold have a little pop. I was kind of surprised that it came back down so much today. It was really doing well, had a great move up. To me, I do think that this big gap over here is going to fill. It's not really a gap because you have this long bottoming tail, but I'm looking at it almost as a gap all the way up to about 1855, especially after we had that huge drop and inflation is still talk of the town. You had a move up today on gold, about 0.77%. It's nice to see it get its feet back on the ground and break that 1800 mark, but now we're back down under 1800 again as we speak right now. Best performer out there was Bitcoin, 1.91%, even though you see the, and this is just the only reason I say today is because obviously futures markets are closed over the weekend. So as they rolled over and open up, there's going to be gaps on that one. On the Bitcoin chart itself, you won't see gaps, but on the rollover here, you generally see them quite a bit on the futures market. So 1.91% is your change in Bitcoin. Even though you see a big red candle there, it's because of the gap over the weekend. That's all it does. All right, let's see. Why did the big drop? We really need some really bad news so the markets can drop big. Yeah, who knows? It just keeps on trucking, and it's kind of hard to believe, but you just got to keep going with it. And again, the worst trades I have been shorting this market over the past year. So, isn't Reggie Bush the only athlete with the trophy? I don't know. I'm a big sports fan. I think that it was kind of BS for him to lose his Heisman Trophy, but now athletes can get paid and everything. So, who knows? Let's see what else. I don't know. Don't know about the Microsoft contract, Lisa. What else we got? Oh, is that what it is? I don't know that one. Be interesting. I didn't look at MSFT. Just an open contract. Well, I mean, Microsoft's looking damn good at too. A hell of a day for Microsoft as well. Yes, let's take a peek at that one now. Let's go look at the dollar index. I mean, it has been on a really aggressive run over the past month. It was traversing down, a lot of pessimism. I was actually feeling that we would have seen that break down below your 88 mark, which is that low back from January of this year. I thought we would hit it, and then all of a sudden it broke out of that downtrend that we saw from April to June and has been just ripping ever since. So this is obviously a little bit nerve-wracking for anybody who's been short the dollar because it has been on a strong downtrend. But we have had some great moves in other currencies. If you look at Australian dollar today, right, they had a rate announcement which basically kept things right where it's at, but look at the swing. I mean, that was a pretty nice move up in the trading hours today. 1.5. So there's your swing today in the Australian dollar. I mean, this is the dollar index, because of its volatility, is starting to add more volatility to the market overall. So while I agree with you, I I do think you'll see that dollar kind of drift back down. It's creating a lot of moves out there for the spot guys. Let's go USD JPY. All right, now this is the 15. But your great uptrend on the daily on the dollar. You go to GBP USD. Right now we got some nice downtrend going. So hey, at least it's broken us out of that real choppy sideways stuff that we experienced most of May and early June, and now it's giving us at least some more opportunities out there, whether you're trading spot or the futures. So Jerry says, Dick's 96, really good pullback to the downside in the near future. Let's go zoom out here a little bit on that bad boy. 96. Yeah, I'm focusing on levels that are before that. 90 before you even get to 95. I mean, there's a nice level right around 94. You can see multiple steps here right around 93 and a quarter. So there's a couple stops here that I think is gonna have a challenge. But the good news is for the dollar index, it's the downtrend seems over, at least in the short-term downtrend from April. It's making those higher highs, starting to make some higher lows. So it looks pretty good for me going forward. All right, what do I got? Man, what other questions you guys got for me? Pepe says, why the big drop and the big rally right away today on the index? Well, I don't have an answer for that one. I don't know everything that goes on, and a lot of times it just is what it is. When you have these big moves, there was some negative sentiment out there. Certainly, I think OPEC created a bit of angst, and I think right now what you're getting is anybody just buying dips. So this doesn't look like it was automated, but you might get that nice big jump as people are trying to buy any little pullback that we get, because it seems like nothing's falling. It's just not letting anything fall. Of course, the Russell backed out. If you look at what happened with that RTY today, it didn't have that bounce, whereas you got that with the NASDAQ and S&P. So, I don't know. It just is what it is. I don't have a crystal ball into every price action, but this moves that you see here on that S&P and the NASDAQ in particular, this is, to me, not out of the ordinary. Just a real aggressive sell-off. A lot of times that opening half hour to 45 minutes is order filling. Now this one went a lot longer, right? This went to about 9 o'clock, so you got about 2.5 hours. But in lunch, just completely changed course and started to bounce back to the upside. Definitely volatility that's not normal, but not out of the ordinary anyway. It's, go look at some previous days here. I'll make this, let's say, a 15-minute time frame so it looks a little cleaner. You do get big swings. Today was obviously one of the more vaulted ones. And again, I think this is a combination of it's the first day back from a holiday, so people are like, freaking out about some of the OPEC news, and then just buying back into it. Volume was higher today just simply because that aggressive sell-off, I think, personally, that you had such a strong sell-off that volume came in back a little bit higher on that one. I didn't talk anything about crypto. We didn't really do anything crypto today, Todd. We could. I mean, it's just wild out there watching the big fluctuations. Although it seems to be calming down and compressing, but there really wasn't anything noteworthy for me in the crypto world. But we'll see. All right, I have no guests on, and I've been trying to get more on the program here, but I am going to start making shows a little bit shorter just because I have so much to do, and doing full-hour shows sometimes takes a ton out of me. So we might be curtailing our shows here a little bit. I know. Sorry, guys. Gotta do what I gotta do. This doesn't pay the bills in any way, shape, or form, so I gotta do more for what does pay the bills. But we'll keep doing the show. I will give you an update on what's happening tomorrow, because let me bring that up for you guys. Iron Source. So here's what you have cooking for tomorrow. No, Pepe. Hey, if I won the lotto, I would just do this for free every day. I could do it for hours a day, but I gotta pay the bills. Let's see. The red box here is what's highlighting most of the stuff happening for mañana. If you look here, you have, this is for mañana. Jolt's job openings coming out. You can see they're expecting there to be a slight increase. Now, of course, last week we saw a really weird thing where non-farm payrolls was much better than expected, and unemployment was much worse. Not much, but it was worse than expected. It's kind of weird to see those numbers flip-flop like that. You do have a couple important numbers coming out tomorrow. You have FOMC meeting minutes, which of course may give us some insight into the Fed, but let's be honest, they've been extremely transparent about what they're doing, so I don't expect any real surprises there. You also have member Bostic speaking, but not a major market mover with regards to announcements. If you trade in the euro, you have Italian retail sales and their economic forecast. That pretty much does it. You got bank lending and current account for Japan. They also have their economy watcher sentiment, and then down at the bottom, this will be tomorrow night late, German trade balance will be coming out. Let's see. Another Romanian billionaire found dead, 41 years old, found dead. Well, At least, you know what? I guess at least it made it past the 27 club, right? You look at some of these musicians and all the maybe it's is it the 41 club for billionaires? Not sure. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. I'm gonna wrap up early today. I got a ton of stuff I have to get done. I got meetings here in a half hour, so I'm gonna wrap things up for today. I'm trying to get some options, guys, in the program, but there's been slim pickings. They're all really busy trying to get their own things going. So I will do my best because I know we've got Les here. Been dying for me to get to his questions on. You had some spread strategies, and also once I get this platform fixed, I will show you my 1% options. I wouldn't really call it an option strategy. It's just a really simple way to look at options for 1%. So I will hopefully get that done and do that sometime this week for you, Les. If you have somebody you want on, you want me to cover a specific topic, let me know what that is. You can email me at TraderMerlin@gmail.com, as you can see it there on your screen. Hopefully I can get to all your questions. And yeah, I'm going to end it a bit early today, guys. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic remainder of your day, and I will see you tomorrow. Take care.